MMA Boxing Talk here. I just wanted to talk about the fight that got announced the other day. Tony Ferguson versus Kevin Lee for the interim title. It's taking place October 7th. This is a good fight. Tony Ferguson, without a doubt, deserves a chance at an interim title. Tony Ferguson deserves that chance. Kevin Lee, I don't think he's really done enough to earn an interim title shot, but at the same time, when you look at the lightweight rankings, there's really not many options for Tony Ferguson. Of course, Khabib is not ready to fight, so the UFC's moving on. They're giving Tony Ferguson an opportunity. Now, when you keep moving down, Eddie Alvarez is fighting Justin Gaethje. They're both in the top five. Edson Barbosa has a shoulder injury, so he's not eligible to fight. And Tony Ferguson, 2 years ago, it was a great fight, but Tony stopped him in the second round. I still wouldn't mind to see a rematch, but and then Nate Diaz, this guy's not coming back unless it's Conor McGregor. And then Dustin Poirier, he's fighting Anthony Pettis in November, and after that, nobody really deserves a shot at Ferguson for the interim title. So Kevin Lee, a solid fighter, young guy. Definitely very well rounded, solid grappler. He's got a lot of wins by rear naked choke. He's a decent boxer. The guy's good. There's no doubt about it. But Tony Ferguson is going to be a big step up in competition for Kevin Lee. It is MMA. Anything can happen. I just really don't see a way for Kevin Lee to beat Tony Ferguson. I really don't. He'll have to do a Lando Venata and totally shock Ferguson, get him, out on his feet, and then take him out, maybe with a rear naked choke or whatever. But Ferguson is a tough guy to do that to. I think Lando Venata kind of surprised Tony. I think Tony underestimated Venata. That was on short notice. There wasn't a lot of film on Venata. There's a lot more film on Kevin Lee. But, there's really no area where Kevin Lee is better than Tony Ferguson. Maybe he's stronger, physically stronger. But Ferguson has more tools when it comes to the striking. Has a lot more submission skills. He has more ways to submit people than Kevin Lee. Ferguson, maybe Kevin Lee has just as good a stamina. We're going to find out. But Tony Ferguson has been 5 rounds with RDA at high altitude. This guy does not get tired. Kevin Lee, I don't think he's ever gone 5 rounds. But I do think it's going to be a good fight. I see Kevin Lee, showing a good account for himself in that fight. I just don't see a way for him to win that fight. But I think it'll be an exciting one, no doubt. So, but what I'm thinking is, if Tony happens, let's just assume he gets by Kevin Lee, and he'll have the interim title. And we all know, when Conor comes back, he might not come back, he might come back. I don't know if he's going to want to fight Tony Ferguson, even though he has the interim title. Who knows what's going to happen? Nobody knows. But maybe if Tony Ferguson has the interim title, maybe that would lure Nate Diaz to come out of his temporary retirement and fight Tony Ferguson. At least then, Nate Diaz will be getting extra money because it's a title fight. And Nate Diaz has a big fan base. So that would be a big fight, that's a fight I've wanted to see for a very long time. Nate Diaz versus Tony Ferguson. And the only way I see that fight happening is if Ferguson has a strap. So right away, Diaz will get more money. He's a big star himself, so he'll get a good payday for fighting Tony Ferguson. But, and there's talk with Conor wants to fight Khabib. I don't see the UFC risking that. Khabib is, you can't trust that guy to make weight or show up. He either gets injured or he doesn't make weight. I really don't see, Conor ever fighting him. So, but yeah, I like the fight with Tony Ferguson and Kevin Lee. But Ferguson should win. He can't underestimate Lee, that's for sure. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think that if Ferguson gets the interim title, do you think that would be enough for Nate Diaz to go fight him? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. But of course, in a perfect world, I'd like to see Conor come back in December or January and fight Tony Ferguson, and unify the titles. And of course, I'm assuming Tony's going to win. I really do think he's going to beat Kevin Lee. But I've said for a very long time that I believe, in my opinion, that Tony Ferguson is the toughest fight for Conor McGregor. Toughest fight for Conor McGregor at 155. A lot of people say Khabib, but the thing is the fight starts on the feet. Khabib has terrible striking defense. We've seen Michael Johnson light his ass up for the first 2 minutes of their fight. Michael Johnson's also a southpaw, but Conor McGregor is a much more accurate, precise, better timing, even more power because of the precision and the timing. So, I see Conor versus Khabib being an easy fight for Conor, to be very honest. And I could be wrong, but I don't think that fight will ever happen regardless. But let me know what you guys think of Ferguson versus Lee. That's it for this one. If you liked the video, subscribe. Check me out on Twitter at MABoxingTalk1. Peace.